We know now the recommendation to eat 5 servings of beans per week, how few Americans are actually meeting that recommendation. We've seen the evidence for the mortality benefit of eating 5 servings of beans per week. We know the mechanism whereby beans are so good for our health. But how exactly do we incorporate beans into our diet? Here are some tips. So I recommend you think about incorporating beans in 3 steps: plan, shop, prepare. Let's start with planning. The goal is 5 servings of beans each week. The way I think of this is basically rounding up to 7. I have beans every day. And when I'm thinking about beans, you're thinking about 3/4 of a cup of cooked beans or 4 ounces of something made from beans, mostly soy products like tofu and tempeh. So the things you're going to do in your plan are prepare the beans in batches for the week, or decide to buy canned beans that are already cooked. Buy bean-based meat substitutes. These you can buy like every month or 2 because they stay fresh in the refrigerator. And then you're going to plan to have a serving of beans on a salad each day, or serving of a plant-based bean substitute like tempeh or tofu with dinner and vegetables. That's how I do it. So let's look at the shopping phase. So we've talked about 2 sources of beans we're going to get. One is whole beans, and you can either get them canned or get them in bulk or in bags, dried, uncooked. I started off, my gateway into eating beans was with canned because it was so much easier. But then I realized how heavy it was to lug from the supermarket and how costly it was. And when I discovered Instant Pot recently, it just changed everything. So I realized how easy it would be now to cook my own beans, and so that's what I've transitioned to, no longer buying cooked beans. But either way is fine, and probably starting with canned beans is an easier way to get into the habit of eating beans. Another form of beans I didn't mention in the planning was hummus. That's chickpeas, and that's a great thing you can buy. And then there's the plant-based bean substitutes that I'll have instead of meat when I'm sauteing vegetables for dinner. All sorts of products, mostly based with soy. Soy is how yuba noodles are formed. Soy protein is how the Light Life products are formed. There's tempeh, which is fermented soy. And beefless ground garden is also soy protein. These are just a few examples, but there's so many out there. So you've gone shopping. You don't need to get those plant-based bean substitutes every week. Those stay good in the fridge, so you can get them every month or 2. You've stocked up on your dried beans or your canned beans and your hummus. Next step is preparing. So we'll go over how to cook beans. This is basically 15 steps to preparing beans using an Instant Pot. You measure out the beans. 1 cup is going to give me 4 servings, 1 serving a day for 4 days. I'll be making this twice per week approximately. I soak the beans in water, in 4 cups of water with 4 bay leaves for at least 8 hours. I rinse the beans in a colander in the sink after they've soaked. Then I spray the Instant Pot with extra virgin olive oil, which prevents burning of the food ingredients, and it makes it a lot easier to come out of the pot and clean the pot afterwards. Then I add 2 cups of water or broth. I rotate between vegetable broth or beef bone broth or chicken broth. I always add the liquid ingredients first, and then I add the dry ingredients. And I won't mix them together after I've combined them. And that's an important step in preventing burning. That way, if you don't mix them and you add the wet ingredients first, the dry ingredients don't fall to the bottom as easily and don't burn as easily. I had to learn that the hard way. I'll then add the rinsed beans, 4 tablespoons of garlic powder, 4 tablespoons of a dried herb. It could be basil, cilantro, paprika, really anything works. I add 1 teaspoon of cracked pepper, close the lid. I set the pressure cook button and pressure level to high, and then I'll determine the amount of time to cook the beans based on the individual beans. And that you can Google, or in another part of this presentation, I show you the specific times to cook each bean. The Instant Pot will turn on and off on its own. I remove the lid, let it cool uncovered, transfer it to a Tupperware, and I can store this in the fridge for up to 4 days. I basically take a quarter of this and add it to a salad that I prepare each day. I also use these plant-based bean substitutes for dinner, and I have here 4 recipes: Chinese stir-fry, Indian curry, Italian marinara, and Mexican chili, using different plant-based meat substitutes. And then finally, I have some pictures here of beans on salad. This is what I prepare and take to work every day. Lentils. And here's an example of hummus on salad. So every day I'm getting beans or hummus on salad. And I rotate in the evening whether I have seafood or plant-based meat substitute. This is actually a very delicious recommendation to implement, and it's really fun to experiment with different beans. It's really easy to use an Instant Pot, and it's great to see all of the different products coming out on the market as plant-based meat substitutes. So enjoy. Finally, I've included some videos, some demonstrations. The first demonstration will be of how to cook beans, and we'll look specifically at a recipe for black beans using the Instant Pot with dried cilantro and vegetable broth. And then we'll look at 4 recipes, 1 for Chinese stir-fry, 1 for Indian curry, 1 for Italian marinara, and 1 for Mexican chili. Each recipe uses a different plant-based protein, and each recipe takes less than a half an hour, is easy to prepare, and you'll see step by step how to do it. Enjoy these videos, and I hope this helps. Thank you very much.